everybody, welcome back to the Claremont Classic Garage. Merry Christmas. Today is the Christmas Day Claremont Classic Garage Spectacular. I started this last year. I'm going to try on Christmas Day every year to make a nice long video. So on Christmas Day evening, after you're stuffed your face with turkey and you're lying on the living room floor with your pants undone, moaning and groaning, thinking you're going to die, you can watch me for an hour and a half or so and forget about all of that. So what we're up to today, we got Deb's Subaru in here. Subaru. We got a whole bunch of stuff to do with this. We're going to put a trailer hitch on it. We're going to lift the suspension. We're going to service it up and install a bunch of Subaru accessories. Let's get started. Back in May, we bought this Subaru for Deb to replace her poor old Dodge Caliber. We've been driving it ever since, but I've never really laid a finger on it. I've never seen the underneath of it. And, well, I've got a few things I want to do to it. So it's about time we get it here in the shop and get it kind of officially commissioned into service. I'm not going to go too bonkers on this thing, but it does need a few little things done to it. Number one, we're going to service it up because they allegedly serviced it when we bought it, but I have no idea what they put in it for oil or anything like that. So we're going to service it up and get it on our schedule. We're going to put a trailer hitch on it because it doesn't have a trailer hitch. I got one. I got a good deal on I bought a used one for $60 or something on Marketplace. So we're going to put that on and run the wiring up to the front. And another thing that really bothers me about this car is it is so low. It's way lower than the old Caliber. And you can see here, there's so much of it. There's so much of it in front of the front wheels. We're always grounding out the bottom of it, going in and out of parking lots. You just pull into a parking spot, and if there's a curbstone at the front, you grind over the curbstone. So we're going to attempt to lift it, and we've got a set of snow tires for it, which are kind of a half a size bigger than these ones. So all we can do is try and see what happens with it. So the first thing I'm going to do is, before I get it up in the air, we're going to crack all the lug nuts so that we don't have to battle with them once it's up. And we're going to get rid of these bloody things. So we bought this thing back in May, and we've been driving it around. Seems like it's a good car, so now it's time to start doing some work to it. I can see when it was safetied, when we bought it, they did the brakes all the way around, so it's got all new rotors and pads on it. That's good. But there's a few things I would like to do to it. Namely, we got a set of OE Subaru mud flaps to go on it. They're the only ones I could really find that were an actual like proper custom fit for this car. We're going to put a trailer hitch on it and a few other little doodads I've got piled up over there. This hitch, I bought this used on Marketplace. It's like new. It didn't come with any hardware, but that's okay. It's because I know it's still got the label on it, so I know it's a Kurt hitch and the model number. So I just downloaded the install manual right from Kurt. They've got a pretty good website, so I was able to piece together my own set of hardware. So it should go on pretty easily. But what we are going to do, I'm going to crawl underneath there and have a look at it. And if it looks like it's easier to pull the back bumper off to do this, we're going to pull the back bumper off to do it. It probably doesn't take that long to get it off. The bumper came off quite easily. There's just along the bottom here a few push pins you got to remove. And it snaps into these little retainers up across here. Take the taillights out. I have to take the taillights out anyway because I've got a T-connector for the wiring. And once I had the bumper off, I took the rebar off because that'll allow me to reach down inside the frame rail to drop the bolts through. Because when you buy those trailer hitches new, you know they come with those long wires that wrap around the bolts that let you fish them through the frame. Well, because we bought it used, we didn't have those. So This is the easiest way. It came off easily. Now I could just reach in there, drop the bolts down through, and everything will be good. I'm debating now. They tell you to lower the exhaust. I'm debating now taking those 2 bolts out and just removing the muffler. We'll have to see. For the sake of just a couple of bolts and a couple of hangers, yeah, we pulled the muffler down. And I'm glad I did because you can see here the muffler heat shield done. So we'll have to do the big washer trick on that while we're underneath here. And you can see here in the frame rail, these 2 plugs have to come out on each side. That's where the bolts for the hitch are going to go up through. And I think we need to make there's some big fender washers that go up inside the rail to give the bolts to support, to spread the load, you know. So we'll have to make some of those. We'll just get some flat plate steel and drill it out. And we should be in good shape. There we are. We got our heat shield fixed up. Now we can go ahead and get the trailer hitch up. And you'll see here how it's got kind of a recess in the frame rail there. So what we do, we get a fender washer and we put it in there to make up that difference so we don't distort the frame rail when we tighten everything down. You can get an idea there of the depth of it. It's about the thickness of a big fender washer. Now we've got here, we've got our trailer hitch mounted to the old Claremont Classic Garage trailer hitch putter upper. Oh, hang on. Cooper wants to jump into the car. Go ahead. Show him how you jump, Coop. Whoa! They're like, whoa, look at them go. They can really jump, those 2. They just came out of there a minute ago. Now they're back in. Ugh. There we go. You can see the bolts coming. That's the inside of the frame rail with our big backup washers or whatever you want to call them. And then underneath, we got them all set. Now for some reason, and I followed the instructions, right? That's a 1/2 bolt and that's a 7/16 bolt. So that's torqued to 80 foot-pounds and the 7/16 ones I did to 60. And well, she's on there good and solid. So now we can go ahead, get our muffler put back up and start buttoning this thing up. I put the exhaust flange back together. I'm not sure what the heck is supposed to be in there for a gasket or anything, so we'll see. If it leaks too badly, I'll have to look into that and see about a gasket. Hello, Nugget. Next thing, we got a wiring harness for this. You can see here it's vehicle specific. Subaru Impreza 5-door, 17 to, there you go, 17 to 21. That's this car. It's a 2020. So, hopefully this thing will go in with a minimum of fuss, but you never know. So we're going to get it out of the package, see if we can find some instructions, and go from there. It sure comes with a lot of stuff. All we can do is start following the instructions and see where we go. Open the vehicle tailgate. Remove all trunk floor coverings. Okay. So here we've got the T connectors run out through the taillight grommets. They give you some sealant. So we'll seal that up once we're done. But for now, I just got to make sure. I might have to adjust how much of it is or isn't sticking out in order to get the taillight fit back on. So for now, I could just stay like that. We've got the other one ran over to this side and out. And we've got the taillight converter affixed up in the back of the quarter panel there. Now I think we have to run heavy conductor up to the front to run the taillight converter. So we'll run that heavy wire up under the door sill trims, and we'll find somewhere, there's always somewhere up under the dash, somewhere a little rubber booty you can poke a little hole in. We'll run the wire up in the engine compartment here, and we'll hook it up there. That's our main battery power. That's where they want that thing hooked up. And while it's lifted up and all tore apart in the back, we're going to pull one of these rear struts out and see about making some kind of a packer for the top of it so we can get this car lifted up just a little bit more. We put snow tires on it that were kind of a half a size bigger, and that helped raise it up a bit. We went from 205 55 16 and we put 205 60 16 snow tires on it, and the car seems to sit up a little better. It's not now whacking all the curbstones and grounding out when you go into parking lots like it was before. But I still would like to get it a little bit higher, so we're going to have a go at that and see what we could come up with. I would maybe give it a little bit more in the back. Like if I could get an inch in the back and 3/4 of an inch in the front, that would probably be pretty good for me. I got these hokey strut spacers off Amazon. They're made out of polyurethane. They're pretty dense stuff. The only problem I see with them is they put a steel sleeve in them to support where the stud goes through, but it sticks out. It's a little proud of the polyurethane, and that's not good because that will work on the metal. The car basically will be sitting on these two things rather than sitting on the whole pad, right? And eventually these things are going to come through the floor. So I'm just going to touch these with the grinder, dress them down a little bit on both sides, and then we should be okay. It comes with longer studs, but you do have to drill the holes out a little bit. So once we get the strut out of here, I'll show you what we got to do. So first I'm going to knock these studs out. Then I have to drill the holes out to 15-30 seconds, I think it was, and I can put the new studs in. You can see here how I dressed down those sleeves. That's all it takes. Now they're just a little below the polyurethane, so the whole load will sit on the sheet metal of the body, not just these 2 points. Then we got to get the old hokey spring compressor on there so we can squash the thing enough to get it in there. Otherwise, you have to start taking bolts out of bushings and stuff, and well, who wants to do that? We should be able to just squeeze it in here now like this. Apparently, when you lift these things, the back, this is about as much as you can go and still be just barely within the range of the factory adjustments, the adjustments they provide to keep the suspension lined up. And then once you get past this, like past an inch and a half, they want you to start dropping the rear subframe down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in this pack of washers. There's 4 points. I'm going to put this pack of washers in there, and that will lower the rear subframe down about half of what we lifted it. And just for my peace of mind, that should have us well within our adjustment range. And putting just this much in, I could keep the original bolts that are in there because they do grab quite a bit. So I'm not worried about that. So what I have to do is I have to move my axle stands because they're currently sitting on the front mounts. So I'll move them over to the rocker panels or something, and we'll get busy doing that. In the end, I was able to pack 4 washers on each corner of the subframe, so that lowered it down about 3/4 of an inch. And we were okay. The exhaust doesn't touch nothing. The everything was able to go back together nicely. The only thing I had to do is this little arm that comes back, I had to give it a little tweak in the hydraulic press, just change the bend on it a little bit so it could come down. But yeah, it's all good. Everything looks great. Perfect. Now we can go and I guess we can put the bumper back on and put the inside of the car back together. Oh, there's the bumper back on. The trailer hitch, it does hang below it, but not, obscenely so. It's all good. And now we can put, I have to seal up. I have to seal up where we slit these rubbers, and then we can put the taillights back in. Now, before I put the wheels back on, I got a set of genuine Subaru goofy little mud flap thingies. They don't hang down too much because these bloody cars are so low. If it was a Forester or something, they'd probably hang down another 2 or 3 inches, right? But anyway, it is what it is. So they give you these little captive nuts you put on there, and they give you a longer, you have to pull out the push pin that's down here, and they give you a longer one because it's got to go through all that stuff. There it is installed. Kind of a silly little thing, but maybe it'll keep some of the crap down anyway. Next, we're going to install this bumper topper, or a step pad, whatever you want to call it. Subaru doesn't offer this. This is from WeatherTech. It's the only one I could find. So we're going to go ahead and put that on. Pretty straightforward. You mark it with tape. You got to get it centered. So you put a piece of masking tape at each end, and then use the alcohol pads they give you to clean it up, and stick it on. Groovy. So I just clean it with the alcohol wipes. While I wait for that to dry, because it's got to dry good, we're going to go ahead and stick the back wheels back on. That finishes up the bumper nicely, I think. And with those dogs of mine jumping in and out of here all the time, plus me, let's face it, dragging junk in and out of the car, you know, the top of the bumper is going to take a beating. I put one of these on the Caliber when I first got it. They didn't even make one for the Caliber. There was no such thing as a WeatherTech bumper guard back in those days. So I found one from a Dodge Magnum. They had an accessory one for a Dodge Magnum, and it was very close to the same shape as the Caliber. So I got one, kind of cut it down a bit, and man, it was on there for, well, the whole time we had the car. Guess now I can put this thing down and see how she sits, eh? That sits okay. Not bad at all. So we're going to lift up the front. I don't know if I'm going to use those same spacers that came in that kit, or if I'm going to come up with something a little bit thinner, because I do like it having a bit of rake. You can see the back of it's up in the air a little bit, and I would like to kind of maintain that, but I still would like to get the front up just a hair. So I kind of think that's what we're going to do, but that's tomorrow's job. What we got to finish for now is I got to get this mess back together and start getting this wire. I got it connected. I got to get this wire run up to the front of the car so we can get our lights working. Alrighty, there's all that put together. And if we need our trailer wiring, well, there it is right there. Safe and sound. What a job that was, pulling up all these little panels and stuff. But we've got this wire now fished up to the dash, and the last step will be finding some rubber grommet that I can just poke a little hole in it and shove it through the engine compartment, and we'll be all set. So now I got to put all this stuff back together. So that 12 gauge wire comes with an inline fuse holder. They want you to put that on the end of it. So we've done that. We've got it covered in split loom back to where it comes through the firewall. Now we just have to connect it to the hot stud there. We can close up our power center, and that's that done. I guess we'll make sure the tail lights still work, but I haven't got a trailer in here. Oh, we could probably hook it up to the trailer tester. I'm not sure it'll work, but we'll see. Now we're going to see about getting the front of this thing lifted. It'll be the same thing as the back. A packer on top of the strut. So we need to get the struts out. The biggest battle will be with the sway bar links, but we'll get it. There's also one of these bolts, I'm pretty sure it's the top one, is actually a cam to set the camber. So I just marked it, you can see there, and I marked this one as being top, and I marked where they are on the strut so we can put them back exactly how they were. All right, let's get this strut out of here. Pretty easy. This just unclips from there. One bolt holding the brake hose on. I already undid the sway bar link. And then our 2 knuckle bolts and 3 nuts up in the engine compartment. Now we just got to make sure when we separate the knuckle from the strut that this is the ABS wire, that it still has a little slack in it. And that's okay. So now we'll just pull these 3 nuts off and get the thing out of there. Now we got to knock these studs out, and I got a bad feeling we're not going to be able to get them past that rubber without taking the strut apart. But, well, we got to try. It's close, man, but they just won't come out. Not without, this is just plastic. That's the bearing. We don't want to wreck that. So for the minute that it takes, we're just going to get the old compressor of death out here and pull the spring down a little bit so we can get the strut cap off, and we'll do it that way. Okay, once we get this off, then this thing just kind of pry it off. There. And then our 3 studs come out. And now what we got to do, we got to get the grinder and just touch either side of this, because we're going to be welding our new longer studs, these 3/8 bolts, into there like that. This here is the spacer that came with the kit. And even though the kit was listed as fitting this car, I don't think it's for this car, because number one, this thing is too big. Although because it's polyurethane, I was able to squish it kind of over the studs, but it was bulging out too much and wouldn't support this over in this area, right? And the studs that they gave me were too small. Plus, I didn't like the idea of all the weight in the front of the car with the turning forces and everything being sitting on just these 4 little, they're really thin. You can see there the steel tubes that they've put inside this thing. I would like it supported all the way around. So what I did, what we used to do on the old stock car, I made a nice one out of hardwood. And I'm not worried about it rotting away or anything. Once I start getting this thing oil sprayed every year and the oil soaks into this wood will last 1,000 years. So anyway, that's what we're going to use. Plus, it's a little bit thinner. It's a little bit thinner than this. You can see about 1/4 of an inch. It's about 1/4 of an inch thinner than the rubber one. Because if you recall, I didn't want to lift the front as much as the back, because I did want the car to have a little bit of rake. So all we got to do is get these bolts in here. Right? And then we can, I'll put a nut on the other side to hold them, and we'll tack weld them into the hat there. And then we can go and put this thing together. Okay, there we go. It's all back together. I made a couple of foam gaskets, one at the bottom to seal it against the hat, to seal the spacer against the hat, and this will seal the spacer against the top of the tower, just so we don't have a bunch of stuff getting through into it. I remember once I had an 04 Jeep, and I lifted it the same way. Although on the Jeep I put the spacers here at the top of the spring, and I put longer shocks on it. If you put JK shocks on a TJ, they're a little bit longer. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and get this thing back in and all buttoned up. Check this out, what I found while I was screwing around with this strut. This ground wire here comes from the top of the transmission, and it's just going into the abyss. Now I'm guessing it goes to that. There's a ground screw right there on the firewall. So I'm going to get this cleaned up and get it put on there. I guess it doesn't really need it because it hasn't noticed that it's not there. Alrighty, so that's all done. These guys here I torqued to 30. They're grade 5 3/8 bolts, so that's pretty good for them. The original ones that were here, the metric ones, they were fine thread, and the factory recommended 40 foot-pounds for those, but 30 is good for these guys. And down here, 115 or 116, I think it said in the book. So these were done to 116. Now, at this point, you think we would be done, but we are not. When I was doing the other side, I had a sway bar link blow out on me. So we're in holding pattern now. I've got one coming, and until it gets here, we got lots of other stuff we can do. I put our little front splash guards on. Aren't they cute? Now we've got these things. They're seat back protectors for the rear seat. We've already got the, it's not in right now, but we've got the cargo mat for back here. And these back seats are covered in this same kind of light fuzzy cloth stuff that just gets destroyed. So we got these things. They're kind of like a floor mat, but for the back of the seat. So we'll get them out of here, see what they look like, and get them installed. So here's the back sides of them. We can see they've got some Velcro. We've got some elastic. And I kind of think that those things, the latch anchors, the child seat anchors, I think that's what they are. I kind of think that those plastic covers pop out and go back through here. Let's find out. First thing they want us to do is remove the headrest and fold the seat down. You can see here, you just reach underneath and there's a little button you have to push there that unlocks it. I kind of think it's on this end. Yeah, there. And out it comes. So for the next step, hang on, where's the flash? There we go. For the next step, you can see here, you don't remove this. You can see this part of the seat protector slides up under that. But they don't want the Velcro that's on the back side of that contacting any of this carpet. So what I've done, I've just used a few pieces of paper to cover it up. So I'm going to attempt to do that now. I've got a couple of screwdrivers here. So I could, you can kind of lift that a little bit to help get that in. And we should be okay. There's not really enough room for me, the camera, all my hands. So I'll be back in a sec. There we go, and that's how that fits in there. Now we could go ahead and pull these pieces of paper out, let the Velcro contact this stuff, and push it down. We still have this part to deal with, but we'll deal with that once we've got the other one in. Now we got to pull out our cargo tray and the actual cargo floor. It's just sitting there. Probably don't even have to pull it right out. Might be able to just pull it back. Golly, it's unwieldy. Yeah, there we go. And then those flaps, I've got them weighted down with a brick. You just flip them over and Velcro them to that bit of carpet at the bottom of the seat. Just like that. Then we can drag the other stuff back into position. Then the little elastics that come out of the top of it, you just put around these things like this. And then we can put the headrest back in and we're done. And there we are, all done. That looks pretty good. And now we put the dog bed back in. All set. Now we've got a set of vent visors or door vents, whatever you want to call them, to put on. We got the instructions here. Subaru, their accessories, they don't come with instructions, but they've got a portal on their Subaru website where you can go and download them yourself. I guess it's because that most of the time these are installed at the dealership when the car is new, and once they've put on a couple of sets, they don't really need the instructions anymore, right? So I guess it saves them a few cents putting the instructions in the box, but whatever. I'll just, once I'm done with this, I'll file these away. So, do not use gasoline to clean your car. All right. So first we have to, we got to pull the glass run channel down on the doors, and we have to clean this area with alcohol. Now we can put these things on. On the back side of the visor, there's 2 pins. They give you these little clips. They grab onto the edge of the door frame. That's why we had to pull the weather strip down. So they just go and snap on like that. So we'll get them on. Alrighty. Now, what we're going to do is I'm going to peel the backing tape off this end, because that would be very difficult to get it out once the visor is kind of on the car. You got to be careful because this stuff is super sticky and you got literally like one shot to get it on. We're going to take it off back here. Then if you screw it up, well, there's ways around it. You can get new double-sided sticky stuff, I guess, but now this one, this front piece, we're just gonna start it. All right, start it. Come on. Man, my old fingers. I'll probably just get a pair of tweezers. And we're just going to fold it around the outside of the visor like that so we can get a hold of it. Okay, now let's see here. Reposition this so we get a good view of the car. There, how's that? That's got the whole door. Okay, so we got our rubber down. Am I still filming? Yeah, good. So what we got to do is we got to get this thing up. We got to be mindful of a few things. We've got to get it up without the ends, because we took the stuff off the ends, the backing paper. We don't want them getting stuck on, and at the same time, we have to have it positioned correctly this way. You can see there's a little turn in it where it fits around there. That's our guide. And we have to make sure we get the little clips engaged in the body. So, here we go. Whoops. I got it on the back door. Where's that from? Okay, there's that little clip engaged. And we've lost our paper now. Start over, hang on. There we go. Okay, that clip is on. Now let's get this clip on. There we go, the other clip is on. Okay, now you've got to get this thing pushed that way a little bit. Okay. Once we're happy with how it is this way, and we got the 2 little clips in, then we're just going to go and pull this guy out. There, like that. And now we can go push this baby on all the way. There we go. There. Perfect. Now we can work our glass run channels back in. Probably best with the door open. There we go. corners in is the trick. Gotta get a trim tool. Hang on. Just gotta get this very corner up in here to go back in. Nope. There we go. There, perfect. Excuse me. Yeah, that should be okay. We'll find out when we put the window up. Now we'll get the back one in, and we'll be all set. There's this side all done. I like these things. They're, you know, nice factory parts. It's nice how they kind of, a lot of times they'll go in at the back and have a tape joint, so there's a big gap between them. But these are pretty nice. They kind of flow. Yeah, I like these. Here's our next little job. We got all kinds of stuff going on like this, because for so long this thing, the front of it was just too low. And all the years of smashing into curbstones and grounding out, going in and out of parking lots, a lot of the push fasteners in the front of it have gotten sheared off, and they're gone, and they're missing, and the front of the car's flopping all over the place. So no problem. Went on Amazon and bought this whole kit of Subaru fasteners for cheap. And it even comes with a little tool to take them out. That went pretty well. Now what I'm going to do is service it up. Winter, we've just started into winter now, and they allegedly serviced it when we got it, but I don't know what exactly that entailed. I don't know what oil they put in it. I don't know anything. So we're going to go ahead and service it up. I don't have an air filter, but we'll open it up and have a look at it. Hopefully it's not too bad. I don't know what they put in it for oil. We're going to be switching it on to the mobile one. And yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult. So first we'll get this filter off. I think I want to get some compressed air and blow. It looks like it's got some kind of a drip tray in there, but we're going to blow some air in there to make sure a bunch of crud doesn't go down in the engine. That is kind of handy with it being right on top like that, and it's kind of self-draining, so when you take it off, you don't make a mess, right? I kind of like that. So I'll put our new one on there. Groovy. All right, now we'll go underneath and pull the drain plug, see what comes out. And in goes the goodness. They say you should put 0W20 in it. I'm not doing that. We'll give her some nice 10W30 Mobile 1. I ran this stuff in my Hemi in the 1500 Ram. I always ran it in the Caliber from when it was new, and never had any trouble with cam phasers or any crazy stuff like that. So I got lots of this stuff, so it's going in. We'll see what happens. There, so let that, and apparently that's exactly how much it needs. So now I'm going to have a boo at the air filter here. Hopefully I can get it out without having to take the whole bloody car apart. What do you think the chances of that are? Oh, chances are pretty good. No, so we'll just take that screw out and pull this thing out. Filter looks a little skanky. Oh man, and it's connected to the bloody car. Okay. We're learning about Subarus as we go. That's going to become unconnected and probably stay unconnected. Come on. Be a monster. Or we'll just do it that way. Okay. There. Well, it's got like a really fine filter. That's after the air passes through the normal filter. Yeah, look at that. That's seen better days, hasn't it? I can still see plenty of light through it. Okay, well, we'll leave it in there till the next oil change then, and go from there. I'll make sure I get one. I didn't have any Subaru parts in stock. I didn't have an oil filter. I obviously, as you can see, didn't have an air filter. So, well, that one will be okay till the springtime. And we'll put a new one in at our next service. That'll be at 80,000 kilometers. Now, I wonder if this thing has an oil change light that I have to reset. I'm curious about that. Well, I don't know if this thing even has an oil change light on it. So all I did was I flicked the ignition on and hit the gas 3 times. That usually resets them if they have one. So now I fired it up also while I was at it. We'll check the oil level. The light went off right away. That was good. Yeah, perfect. We're right between the safe marks. Now we're going to go and just kind of give it a check over. Need some washer fluid. And I think I got one almost used up here. At least it's got a very big neck. A lot of times cars, man, you're like trying to thread a needle with your washer fluid. Why is the flash on? There. No wonder my battery's always dead. Oh yeah. There we go. That's that topped up. And now we'll just go around and lubricate all our hinges and locks and stuff. Then we can check all the lights and see where we're at. Where's my spray oil? Here it is. Hinge. 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 Got a lock in the door here. I think that's the only lock on the outside of the car. Hinges. Hang on. Okay, now while we're at it, we can check the lights. Yeah, it looks good at the front. Everything at the back working. How about the license plate light? Yeah, good. Reverse lights. I need the key, put the ignition on and put it in reverse. Yeah, they work. Oh, look who it is. My helpers. What are you guys doing? Never met a car they didn't like. Yeah, have a look at the belt here. It looks okay. It hasn't really got to the miles or age threshold yet, so that seems okay. The coolant level in the overflow jug is it's between the minimum and maximum marks, but it is closer to the minimum. But it's some special blue Subaru stuff, and well, I haven't got any, so it's okay for now. And I checked the brake fluid. It's okay. It's up to about there in the reservoir, and you can see this pipe going off the side here, like my old Caliber. Or is it the Caliber? I don't know. I had another car like that where it steals brake fluid from the reservoir for the clutch circuit. Super duper. So I'm pretty sure we are done under the hood. Something worth noting as we put the wheels back on this thing, you can see how much room there is here around the strut, like clearance to the tire. You could put a lot more rubber on this thing than we've got. I mean, we just went up basically the same size tire. We went from a 55 to a 60 to just get a little height out of it. The problem you're going to run into, you can keep going. Some guys run 215/65s on these things, and that'll get it up to about there. But our poor little 2-liter engine here, it still has to turn that. And as the tire gets larger, that basically increases your gear ratio, right? Like makes the gear ratio seem taller. And the engine will start to struggle. On top of that, it will affect the brakes, because as the tire, basically it's a lever, right? From the center here out to here. And the longer that lever is, the harder the brakes have to work to overcome that leverage when they're trying to stop the car. So you do have to put some thought into it, but you can see here where the Subaru engineers have allowed a lot of grace here. Probably, I'm guessing, the same basic strut carcass is used on the Crosstrek, which sits higher and has bigger wheels, but it also has a bigger engine, and I'm willing to bet it has bigger brakes. Now we'll get the wheels torqued up and get her on the turn plates. Okay, backyard alignment 101. First, we got to make sure our wheels are on properly, torqued to spec, and that all 4 tires have the correct tire pressure in them. We've got that. And then beyond that, depending on how carried away you want to get with it, I mean, we're doing a home alignment. It's not like we're using computers and lasers and stuff, but rough idea, around a half a tank of gas, because that's, mostly where the car's going to spend its time. And if you usually carry a load in it, make sure that's in there too. That sort of stuff is more important on control arm cars where you can adjust caster and camber. On this car, the caster is preset by the factory. It's not really adjustable. It does have camber bolts on the front. There's no camber adjustment on the back. So what we can do here is check the camber on the front, adjust it if we have to. We could check the camber on the back just to make sure it's within spec, because we were moving the subframe around and adding spacers and stuff, but it's typically, like I said, non-adjustable. And we're going to check the toe, front and back. Next thing you have to do is make sure your floor is level from side to side. And we're good there. And also, if you're going to be checking caster and possibly adjusting it, you need to make sure that it's level front to rear also. In our case, it's not that big of a deal. Now, we've got our homemade turn plates here, which are just a couple of pieces of plastic, right? I think what we're going to do is put just a little dollop of oil in between them. So basically all that does, it breaks the friction between the tire and the floor. We could not do an accurate alignment right now because, or even check it, because there's too much friction between the tire and the floor. In fact, all we've done, we haven't even moved the car. We just lowered it off the jack. So what'll happen is that wheel will have right now a tremendous side load on it, because as the car lowers down and the control arm wants to pivot to its loaded position, it's trying to push the wheel sideways, but the wheel doesn't want to go sideways because of the friction between the rubber and the floor, and you'll get a completely inaccurate reading. So we just put a little oil in there. You can also use 2 nice pieces of sheet metal. See? You could use a couple of peel and stick floor tiles face to face with some oil in between them. You could use a couple of old Elvis LPs if that's what you've got. But this is what we've got, just a couple of hunks of plastic. So once we got the car sitting on our turn plates, we're just going to jiggle the wheel back and forth a little bit. And that's going to relieve any of that lateral stress on them. Now we can get the gauge and check it. So here we've got our caster camber gauge mounted on the wheel. And I think they want this around 1/2 degree negative. And we are right at exactly 0. So we're going to go over and check the other side for comparison. Over here you can see we've got about -1/4. That's not bad. The other side, we could probably try to adjust it a little bit. So we're going to attempt that at least. Now what this means, negative camber, is that the top of the tire is, if you're looking at it from the front, is tilted in toward the car. So that makes, to exaggerate, the tire kind of digging out like this. So when you turn the car, that tire will kind of, because they go like that with the lateral load when you turn. So if it's tilted in a tiny bit at the top, when you turn, it kind of levels out back to plumb, if that makes sense. So too much negative camber and you're going to start chewing the tires. That's bad. But this is okay, this side. That's pretty close to what they want. We're going to see if we can get a little bit more on the other side. Another way, albeit less accurate, to check it is with just an old-fashioned level. The problem is with radial tires, this bulge here at the bottom where the car's sitting on it. So that kind of, Now, if all you're doing is looking for comparison from side to side, that's not too bad. It doesn't really matter. They should both be about the same. But you could see here how much this level is telling us how much negative camber we have when we don't really actually have that much. If we go to a shorter level that goes right on the wheel, you could see it shows it much closer to level. I'm sorry, this maybe if I turn it around, we might get a better view of the bubble. That's a much better way to do it, is right off the wheel. it'll be a little more accurate. So what we got to do, can we see in there? Where's that bolt? There. We have to loosen that. That's the cam, the adjusting cam. So we have to loosen the nut, and then we can go on the back side of it with a 19 millimeter wrench and turn the cam. Okay, there we go. We've got it at -1/4, just like the other side. So now what I'm going to do is carefully jack it up. We'll pull the wheel off so we can hold the cam in exactly the right place, and torque the bolt back down. I didn't even have to reach behind and move the cam. Just loosening the nut there, because it's kind of a lock nut, it turned the cam just a tiny bit while I was loosening it, and it put it right in the perfect range. So we're good. So you can see there's the alignment mark for when we took the cam out, and there's where it is now to get the camber back in spec. That's perfect. And we torqued the nuts on these back up to 115. Now we'll put the wheel back on and double check it and see what we got. Okay, now we got the wheel torqued up. We'll just cycle the steering back and forth a little bit, and we'll put the gauge back on it and see what it says. Okay, so we end up at about -3/8. It's amazing how this stuff will just it does kind of move around a bit, but that's okay. So we've got basically an 1/8 more on this side, which is fine. That should help deal with the crown of the road. We'll see how she drives. Now we got to check the toe. Now I could tell when I rolled it onto the turn plates, it rolled quite easy, so I don't think the toe is too far out, but we do need to check it. Again, there's more than one way you can do this. You can do it this way. And measure across to a similar contraption on the other side. Perfectly fine. Again, doing it this way, you just have to be careful how high up you are, that your straight edge doesn't contact the bulge in the tire, because that'll wad you up. So let's see what we've got here. Exactly 71 3/4. So that's what we want to see on this end, or just a hair less. So there you can see we've got 71 3/8. So this thing is towed in 3/8 of an inch. That's just too much. That'll chew the tires and make the car drive bad. So we need to adjust that. Tactical error on my part. I should have anticipated this step and got these damn adjusters freed up before I put everything together. But, well, anyway, we'll do it now. Usual methods. If you have to get in here with heat, just be cognizant of the boot on the CV shaft and the wire, this wire for the ABS. Use something like, I had a little piece of tin around here somewhere I was using as a heat shield. Yeah. Just something like this, stick down in there, and that'll protect those parts. Well, it took a little bit of heat, but we got that one nice and free now. And I adjusted it about 1 full turn. So we'll go over and do the same on the other side, because the center wheel was, the steering wheel was centered before, so we want to keep it centered, so we have to do an equal adjustment on each side. I'll turn the other side out 1 full turn, and then we'll measure again and see what we've got. At least then I'll be able to adjust it without taking the wheels off. Alrighty, let's go. This isn't too bad. The front end in this car is actually pretty similar to the front end in the Daytona and the Neon that I used to race. The biggest difference is that the rack is in front of the struts, not behind it. So all the adjustments are backwards from what I'm used to. But aside from that, it's all good. Oh, it's not getting hot. Don't want to melt anything. Okay, let's try it there. Might take a couple of tries. Yep, needs a little more. There's just so much stuff in here, you don't really want to light on fire. This is what the salt does. Okay, let's try it now. You want to put just enough heat in it to... There we go. Okay, so let me get the other wrench. So we'll back this baby out about one full turn. There's a half. The rusting thread makes the wrench stick to the tiny bit more. There. Okay. Now we'll hold that and run the nut back to the tie rod end. We're not going to tighten it now because we'll probably have to fiddle around with it a little bit more, but we'll just kind of snug it up. There we go. Okay, now we'll put the wheels back on and recheck the toe. That's hot. Let it cool off for a sec. Okay, you know the drill, people. The wheels are torqued back up. Give her a jiggle. And now we're going to switch back to my preferred way of doing this. And that is... with my old stock car toe plates. Just a lot easier for one person operation. My opinion at least. Okay. Let's see what we got now, folks. Let's see, what do we got here? So what I do is I'll usually get the back one and I'll just kind of jiggle the plate so I get to some kind of nice round number. Like that, 73.5. So we're looking for just a hair less than 73.5 at the front. And we've got 73 3/4 now. So we went the right way, but we went too far. Because now it's towed out not quite 1/4 inch, more like 3/16. So what we have to do is bring that back a tiny bit. But it's easy now because these are loose. We just have to steer the wheel to full lock and we can get in there each side and just take back a little of the adjustment we just did. Probably about, I'm guessing, half a turn on each side will get us pretty much almost where we need to be. Not quite a half a turn. You don't want these things, these front wheel drive rack cars, rack and pinion cars, towed in like we do the old linkage cars that have got control arms and all kinds of steering linkage and stuff that deflects so much when you're driving. There's a lot less deflection in the front of these things. So you don't need to put as much grace into your settings. Okay, so Can you see in there? What if I put the flash on? Yeah, maybe you can see a little bit, eh? There, how's that? So we're going to loosen the jam nut. Okay. And we're going to turn this guy in. Why doesn't that turn? There we go. Man, since it cooled off, it got tight again. There. Now we'll do the same on the other side. Okay, here we go. So we got 74.5. Let's see what we get over here. Oh, that is absolutely perfect. It's just a hair less than 74.5. Yes, thank you very much, Cooper. I appreciate your help. I couldn't do it without you. So now all we got to do is go under there, reef up them lock nuts, and we can check the back. So at the back here, we checked the floor at the level, and it's kind of out to lunch over here. So we had to put a little bit of a packer under this wheel to get the back of the car level. So what we've got on this side here, we've got about -7/8 of camber. Let's check the left. Let's check the left, people. And over here on the left, we've got pretty much the same. Maybe just a tiny bit less than that side. So that's A-okay, within range. So what we're going to do now is check the toe on the back and see where that's at. Okay, so we got this thing jiggled so that it's at 73. Let's see what we get on this side. Just a hair less. Perfect. Good, thank goodness, because this is a little more involved adjusting the back. There's like a toe link, like a little tie rod like we had in the front, but it doesn't have a threaded adjuster. It's got a cam and it's way in there. Best done on an actual alignment rack where you can stand under the car and do it. Something else I need to note I forgot to mention when we were doing the toe adjustments, make sure you've got two tape measures that are exactly the same. And if you don't trust them, you can even, once you're satisfied with your toe setting, switch them from front to back and make sure you get the same answer. I've used these two for long enough. I can trust them. So I'm okay with that. But just something I thought I'd point out. Well, between the half a size bigger tire and that little lift kit we put in, we have lifted this car quite a bit. It's not near as low as it was. I don't know if it sits up like Deb's old Caliber did. That thing was a tank. But this, between it being up a little higher and having all-wheel drive, this car will be a tank now. I didn't... we could have bought a Crosstrek. I guess that would have been the easiest way. But little cars with stick-shift transmissions are getting harder to find. There are stick-shift Crosstreks out there, but... we just really like this car. It's quite frankly all we need. The Crosstrek has a bigger engine. It's a little bit heavier. It's going to eat more gas. For what we need to do, this car is great. So we've basically taken it and kind of made it how we need it. All it's left to do now is slap the old hubcaps back on it and get it out for a test drive. Yeah, I'm liking that. That looks great. I'll kind of let it feel it out, let it kind of settle in a little bit. And at the next service interval, we'll get the gauge out and just double check the alignment specs again, make sure it's good. But yeah, I think it should be okay. Here's something I forgot to do before, even though I talked about doing it. We got the old Claremont Classic Garage trailer tester out. Maybe in the description box below or in frame here, I'll try to put a link to the video where we made this thing so you can make one yourself if you need to. And you can see here we've got the parking lights on. They're on, and it lights up. Step on the brake, please, Deb. You can see brake lights work. Release the brake. Put the hazard lights on. Now, why are they not flashing? Step on the brake again. Oh, there they go. Okay. Release the brake. Okay, good. Yeah, it's something with this little electric control box. I'm not sure if there's enough load on these tiny little LED indicators to get all this stuff working. But we can see the circuits work. We'll double check it when we hook an actual trailer to it, but looks good. Okay, shut everything down, please. Thank you. Well, let's take it for a spin. We got some fresh snow to try it in here. We'll go off these tire tracks here just to make sure it's going to be okay. Yeah, perfect. I'm not allowed to film when I'm on the road, so I'll put the camera down. We're just going to take it for a spin up the road to the golf course and back. And I'll see you in a minute. It drives great. It doesn't pull or nothing, but the steering wheel is just off to the left a little bit. So we're going to bring it in and just give that a little tweak, and then we should be good to go. We've had her for a run down the road to Ajax and back, and it's back in the shop. We just got to retorque the wheels, and the steering wheel is still off a little bit. Off center, that is. So we're going to have a go at getting that fixed up, and we should be golden. So basically when you're driving, it's a little exaggerated right now, but when the car's going straight, the steering wheel is kind of steered to the left. So what we need to do is... we put the steering wheel to straight, and you'll see that wheel turns to the right a little bit. So what we have to do is we have to turn it out so we can get at the tie rod and adjust that wheel, put a little left turn in it, and we have to do the opposite adjustment on the other side to put a little left turn in it. So we gotta turn that one out and turn that one in. Just a little bit, and we might have to do it a couple more times yet till we've got it perfect. But we'll try. And then once we've made our adjustment, just give her the old jiggle, and then we'll double check the toe setting. So here we got 74, and here we got 74 less a hair. Perfect. So we'll get out and give her a road test and see how it is. I'm not going to keep regurgitating this. If it's okay, it's okay. If it's not, we'll fix it. But for all intent and purpose, I'm pretty sure we got this licked. So that's it, man. We got all that stuff done. We got the steering wheel centered back up. She drives like a dream. It's so nice that it's only up that much higher than it was before, but it seems like I lifted it up a foot, you know? It's so nice. You open the door, you don't fall into the car anymore. You get into the car. It feels a lot better going through snow and stuff. I just like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, that'll do it for this one. I've got one video in between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And then New Year's Day, we're going to do the same thing. I got a little bit of a longer one. Not quite as long as this one, but I got a longer one for after dinner on New Year's Day for you to watch. And I hope you enjoy that one too. Anyway, gotta go now. I'd like to thank you as always for tuning into the Claremont Classic Garage. Hope you'll come back and see us again. And until then, I'm Kevin, saying so long for now.